Word, beautiful people, and welcome back to Marika's Catalog, your go-to place for all things self-love, where we are becoming our own, what?
It girl.
Yes. We got it already, our first guest, y'all. So you see the setup, you see I have a guest, because I told y'all we taking things to the next level. Let's hop right into it. Hi, Chanel.
Hi, Marika.
How are you?
I am amazing.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
So, can you please just introduce yourself to my community and audience and let them know who you are, what it is that you do. We'll start there.
And I am Chanel Davison. I have my own women's organization called When Queens Meet Las Vegas, which essentially is a sister circle to encourage Black women to be their authentic selves. And that's just, I have my own seasoning line called Vibe Seasoning. That's a little bit about myself, just a little bit.
Yes.
Follow me for more, okay? So you can get a little bit more information. Yeah.
Okay, and we'll let you all know how to reach Chanel at the end of this episode. But again, thank you so much for being here. One of the reasons why I invited you onto the show is because, so I've only known Chanel for like a month or so.
Yeah, like 2 months, yeah.
2 months, very short time frame. But in that time frame, I could say we've become friends.
Yeah.
And I've already learned a lot from her, and just learning about When Queens Meet, I'm like, okay, you should be on the show and tell the people, let's talk more about self-love and healing and overcoming self-sabotaging habits. So the first thing I want to ask you, because you seem like you're already your own it girl, like that.
My own lane, girl. It's my own lane. Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit more, like what does your it girl look like? How would you define your personal it girl?
My personal it girl is just staying in my own lane. It's always been me versus me. I don't think I ever had like a journey to meet being an it girl. I think it was just my confidence always been just like, I'm gonna show up, I'm the light in the room. It's just staying in your own lanes, having confidence, and it's ultimately like no competition. It's just me versus me.
See, that's different, because I'm like, our thing here at Marika's Catalog is become your own it girl, and I know that so many of us as women, we wrestle with confidence, and like you just have that it girl confidence, and it's like I'm glad that you said that there wasn't a journey, so you just always had confidence in yourself.
I think I always like, I don't know, my mom raised me and my sister to always like, it's no competition. It's you versus you. It's always gonna be somebody that look better than you. It's always gonna be somebody that have more than you. But you stay in your own lane and you be who you are, and every time you come, show up and take up space. So I always felt like I'm Chanel and that's who I am. So I don't know, like I just always been this girl, and it's like I always been a little bit bigger than everybody else. I always had a big personality, but everybody else be like, girl, you got so much confidence. I'll be like, for real, that's just me. And I just love that people see that for me, because it hasn't always been like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just Chanel. But I guess I'm a big deal if I'm on Marika Catalog, okay? But yeah, it's just, I know a lot of women struggle with becoming in general, just becoming, and I think it's important to self-love, and not just self-love as like self-care, because a lot of people think self-care is self-love, and it's not. Self-care is really like maintenance. That's what people think it is. But just really just knowing who you are, being comfortable with who you are, and not competing, and not staying like, I always say I'm a rebel, I'm like, I'm a rebel. I don't compete with nobody. I don't care about rules. I just be in my own lane. And I think once you find your purpose and you find out what you love and who you are, you'll be comfortable with everything else. So and use no competition.
So ever. You mentioned purpose. Like, what advice would you give to someone who doesn't necessarily know what their purpose is? Like, how did you figure out what your purpose is?
Your purpose is really not your purpose. Your purpose is what God has for you and what His purpose is for you. So I know me going to school, and I really struggle. Like, I really wanted to be a probation officer. I couldn't pass the test. I took the test like so many times. So embarrassing. Okay. Probably like 6 times. And I couldn't pass the test. And I'm like, God, why do you have me in education? Like, why am I working with these kids? I was the rudest student ever, okay? Not the rudest, but I never thought that I would be a teacher when I taught. I never thought that I would be in education or even working in that capacity, because I struggled growing up. I have dyslexia, so I never thought that I would be someone teaching someone else's kid. but it worked, and I had to really just let go and let God. At the end of the day, it sounds like a cliche, but I really just had to align myself with God's purpose. And once I did that, everything just flowed. And everything, I remember I prayed, I said, Lord, if education is where you want me to be, make it look like this. So make it look like the real deal. Don't make it look like math, science, reading. Make me be example to students, and I'm living that every single day. And I just had to make sure that my alignment was correct with God, because if you don't have alignment, you're gonna be all over the place. And so at the end of the day, it's not what your purpose is, it's what God's purpose is for you, and making sure that you really hear that. Because sometimes people think, I heard that from God. No, you didn't. You just wanted to hear that. So just making sure that you clearly have an ear for what God is telling you or leading you to be and what your purpose is, and then you'll be fine. So finding my purpose was a journey, but I just had to have that alignment with God. And once I did that, everything fell into place.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So it sounds like you stepped into not just alignment, but acceptance.
Yes.
Okay, this is my purpose, and this is what God is calling me to do. And I want to touch on acceptance, because not just acceptance of purpose, but also acceptance of self. So what are some things that you do to continue to stand in that acceptance?
Just not having FOMO, not thinking that, I think that's a big thing, like the fear of missing out and not comparing myself, and just being like, staying true to myself and accepting that, okay, if this is what God has for me, anything else I do is really it's not gonna work out, so I might as well follow the path. Because at this point, if I fall off, it's not gonna be good. So just accepting it. And it's hard to accept things that you don't really, those hard conversations and those reality, those come to Jesus moments, it's hard to accept that at sometimes, but you have to just have that, I don't know, the understanding that God is not gonna lead you astray, I guess.
Yeah, or lead you wrong, steer you wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's all about faith.
Yes. And that's
it's all about faith.
Always.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about
faith. Yeah, listen. And you know how people like, I hate the manifestation word. I always be like, God infest.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I always say God infest. So that means just basically
like
having the faith in God that whatever you speak is going to happen, but not manifesting, right? So I think I probably look at it as negative. I look at a lot of stuff as a little negative, but I think that it might be like manifesting, like, oh, I think the universe is going to align. I don't think the universe is going to do anything for me. I don't think the rocks is going to cry out for me. I think that God is going to align me. So if I have that faith, and you only need the faith of a mustard seed, right? So if I have just a little bit of faith, whatever I speak is going to happen, as long as it is aligned with what God has for me. And sometimes God give you what you want.
Just
so you can see. Exactly. Just so you can see. But it's so important to have faith. Without faith, nothing is possible. And faith, if it's not at the top, it should be an order. Faith, God, faith. If you don't have faith, it really is. How you go believe in something? We believe in God and we don't know how you look, right? But we know when we have faith and stuff happens. But when you don't believe it's gonna happen, you keep saying, like, I went through this phase, like, I ain't gonna never have a baby. Like, I have fertility issues. I'm like, I ain't gonna never have a baby. And my husband's like, you always speaking so negative, but you got faith though, right? And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, you're right. So having faith and just being self-insured, like, okay, if God say he gonna do it, he gonna do it. So we keep on saying he ain't gonna do it, you don't really have faith, right? So I think that if you don't have faith, and real faith, not just saying, oh, I got faith, God go work it out. You have to have confidence in that faith too. And it's the waiting season. So you ain't always, everything ain't gonna happen how you want it to happen or when you want it to happen. So you have to go through that waiting season with that faith and know that God is gonna work it out.
One of the things we do focus on is faith. And I know that you mentioned that when queens meet, that's one of your
That's our number one principle is faith.
Okay, so what are your other principles? How many principles do you have?
6.
So what are the other principles?
Faith, purpose, growth, authenticity. What is faith, purpose, growth, integrity, and I'm missing one. I can't think of the other one. But those are the main 5. And I picked those because I feel like that's what I stand for. I'm always me. The first award that I got in school was integrity, and I love that because that speaks a lot about my character. And I didn't get it once; I got it like 3 times. So that says a lot about your character. And I think it's very important when you, as a woman, as a Black woman, if you don't have faith, if you don't have confidence, if you don't have integrity, your character is everything. And everybody should say the same thing about you. It shouldn't be, oh, Chanel is this way, and somebody else says, oh, the other one is growth. I don't think I said growth. And if somebody else says, Chanel is this way. Your character, that's your blueprint. It's not really what you wear. It's not how you look. It's your character. Because really, when people's character is bad and they can be the best thing walking, they look ugly. So those are my principles. I think it's important. I say queen. Queens hold those principles, and without those, you are not a queen, really. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about When Queens Meet. I know that those are the principles, but what are some of the things that you all do? Where you go? What's next for y'all?
So When Queens Meet, the mission is to just spread sisterhood. I think we're missing that, especially in Vegas. We don't have a lot of Black. I feel like it's almost like a competition. Everybody thinks it's a competition. So I created When Queens Meet during the time where I was going through like a friendship transition. And not really like a transition. I'm still friends with most of the people now, but it was more like we wasn't equally yoked, I guess, or we wasn't on the same page. We had different lifestyles. So I created, no alignment, right?
Yeah.
So I created it to be like-minded, would be around like-minded other women that was like-minded, and also just to spread sisterhood. Because I remember I brought my friends. You ever had a situation where you brought a friend with you to somewhere, and then that friend became better friends with somebody else?
Yeah.
But that work out though. Like sometimes it's because y'all not in alignment with each other, but they might be. And so I created When Queens Meet because I might not be all for y'all, but y'all can create that together. So just to spread that sisterhood, we miss that. So we do have events. The next events I'm having is I'm making it a private event. We've been talking about it. It's gonna be a private dinner for those people that's just been supporting me since day one, and who's consistent. Support to me is not always showing up. It's reposting my videos, selling tickets when I need tickets. Support that you don't always have to show up, but you have to show up, if that makes sense. We do that. I'm doing a Laughlin trip in July. Christmas event. I've done a letting go ceremony it was like a letting go before the beginning of the year. We just do I did sip and paint, just little social events throughout the year. So yeah.
So talk a little bit more about letting go, because I know that on this journey of self-love, like you mentioned, the friendship alignment and things of that nature, because letting go is a part of this journey. It's a part of the self-love journey, the healing journey, your faith journey. Like, it's just a part of life.
Yes.
So how were you able to let go of, or kind of like realign with that friendship situation?
I think it was hard. Friendship breakups is worse than like relationship breakups, and nobody ever talk about friendship breakups.
We're gonna talk about it. Friendship
breakups, and like grieving. You don't always just grieve like people passing. You grieve when you lose a job. You grieve when your COVID. You remember when everything shut down? We was grieving that gym to be open, those restaurants, the Target. So you grieve other things, but it was just it was hard to let go of those. Like I don't go to the club no more. That was hard because I want to go have fun. I'm a naturally fun person. I don't go out all the time. I don't go out with the same people because you got to separate.
Yeah.
So it was a hard process, and it's still hard to this day. Like, and my favorite word is no, but when they be like, I always say no, so we ain't gonna ask her no more. So sometimes so when they like I told you no, yes, like, no, I want to go. So when I be seeing them on social media, and I be like, well, why did they invite me? But then I be like, because I'm gonna say no anyway. They know I'm gonna say no, but it's a hard process, and honestly, I'm still going through that process. But I think it's important to let things go because you cannot take everything with you. You can't take everybody with you, and if you don't let go, then you're gonna complacent. You become complacent in situations. So you have to, when you have getting a strong relationship with God, that's the first prayer that you pray. Lord, align me with like-minded people. Lord, let me go of those things that's not meant for me. Lord, if this relationship is not for me, take it away. And sometimes you don't want that to happen. It's so hard.
Oh, it's so hard.
Because especially with friends, in worse situations, like you always, when you are used to people, it's so easy to just like, I'm gonna just love them through it all. Sometimes you just gotta let go. That don't mean you don't love them anymore. That don't mean that y'all not friends, but that means that y'all just have to separate until you get yourself together, because really self-love is being selfish sometimes. So
speaking of being selfish, because we hear this a lot, and one of the things that I've learned on this journey is that self-love is not selfish, because especially in the Christian community, we talk about being selfless and being humble and helping others, and somewhere along the lines I forgot about me. And I think a lot of people, especially if you're a believer, forget about self because of what we preach in the church and in the Christian community. And so throughout this journey, I'm like, wait a minute, like even Jesus had to like be selfish and separate from his disciples to go have quiet time with the Lord. So, and I'm like, so if Jesus needed to have his alone time, like I do too, I need to take care of me. And so, okay, what advice do you have for someone who may struggle with self-care or in self-love, or feel guilty about it, or are afraid to be selfish sometimes, because you do have a right to be selfish?
I think it's important to be selfish sometimes. How can we talked about this? How can you point to somebody else's cup when your cup is empty? You have to be selfish. If that's taking the first 3 hours of your day to just focus on you, and that's waking up earlier to focus on you and meditate, you have to be selfish, because if you're not selfish, how can you be your best you? You have to put yourself first. And as Black women, we take on so much. You in a relationship, you a wife, you a sister, you a friend, you a daughter, you a niece, you a TT. You take on so much in the work world, just in general. Just being a Black woman, you take on so much. It's important to just be selfish sometimes, because if you're not, you go get overwhelmed, and that's how we go through depression. And that's how we go through certain situations, because we don't give ourselves enough grace to be selfish. We just think that we have to take everything because that's what a strong Black woman do, and that's not true.
And so, how do you give? What is one way you give?
No.
Give yourself grace. Oh,
by saying no. By saying no. By making sure that I be like, okay.
You don't feel guilty when you say?
I don't know.
I don't even know why I asked her that, because I already know. I should have known the answer already. Like,
I do not feel guilty when I say. It feels so good. It's like cuss words, like seasoning to your sentence. But no, I don't feel guilty, because.
And it's a hard no. You don't
hard
no because.
Nope. I'm not going back on my word. It's a no, and everybody know that about me. When I say no, that definitely means no. Like yesterday when you asked me about the pool, I was like, no.
Straight no. Literally a straight no, y'all.
And I believe that is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. I'm not giving you no backup of why. I'm not coming and I don't really feel guilty. Never.
You don't. you I swear, like that's one of the things I love about you. Like there is no shame in your game. Like you are not afraid to speak up, and you just you.
Yeah.
I know, literally, you are the example of no apologies about being who you are. Like being you unapologetically, and I love that about you.
And I stand by that, because I think a lot of times we put on masks, like, and we remember. I remember we had a conversation this week, and I was like, I don't believe in the fake until you make it. Yes. I don't believe in that.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times we put on masks just because we can walk in the room and say, okay, I got to be this certain person. Mm-hmm. No, you just got to be you. And if you can't be you, you're doing a disservice. And I promise myself, if I don't show up as me and always be me and stand by my principles and my beliefs and my morals, I'm doing a disservice to myself. If I'm doing a disservice to myself, that's not self-care, right?
Yeah.
That's not self-love. That's sabotage.
Yes. I'm like, wait, what is it? Self-sabotage.
So I think you just got to stand firm in you, mm-hmm. and in your self-care. So.
Yes. So do you ever find, speaking of self-sabotage, do you ever find yourself self-sabotaging?
Like negative talk, yeah.
And how do you handle
negative talk? I just like, girl, get it together. But just praying, just be like, okay. And I think a lot of times my negative self-talk be like, it's why? If I'm not gonna get it together, why are you even talking negative at this point? That's what I'm saying. That's how I talk to myself. Like, everybody talk to themselves. I be having real conversations like,
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
You know you're supposed to be eating this, but you still eating it, but then you complain when your jeans don't fit. Okay. But you're not gonna get it together. So we gotta get it together. And I think sometimes I do self-sabotage, and that's not who I am, but sometimes, I mean, we human, right? So sometimes I do self-negative talk in my husband's head, and I hate doing it in front of him because he be like, girl, like, he like Chanel. And he's like, sweetheart, honey bun, you do not have to talk like that. You just get on it. And he always told me accountable. I'll be like, I do what I want to do, you know what I mean? But I don't know. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yo, that's one of my favorite sayings. It is what it is. It is what it is. Because it is what it is.
Yeah.
It ain't what it ain't. And it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yes.
So talk a little bit more about how do you define self-love? Like we are deep into this conversation, but what is your Chanel's definition of self-love, or what does self-love look like in your life?
Self-love look like selfish to me. It's making sure that I am my best self and authentic. Self-love look like taking care of me mentally first before anything, and just being me. I think just giving to myself, but not like self-care. I think it's a little different. Like
what is
maintenance
it is
a lot of people think
difference?
maintenance is self-care, like getting your feet done, getting your nails done, massages. Maintenance is not self-love or self-care to me. That's just like,
see, I think
maintenance.
Self-love
But it can make you feel better to make you love yourself more.
Yeah, I think self-care is the maintenance of self, like taking care of
It is.
taking care of yourself internally and externally. But I think a lot of times people focus on the external versus
It's
the internal.
yeah.
And I think self-love is the actions that we take, because we in relationships.
Yep.
We say, if you love me, you wouldn't do that, or if you love me,
You gonna show me.
you will show me.
Yep.
And it's the same with self. Like, we are in a relationship with people, but the most important relationship is our relationship with self.
Yeah.
And it's the same with us. Like, you gotta show yourself
Yes.
that you love yourself. And that's why we talk about self-sabotaging habits, because sometimes self-sabotage becomes like the norm, and without us even realizing that it's the norm. So you talked about negative self-talk. Do you have affirmations?
I do.
What are some of your
I'm
affirmations?
like, you are enough, or you are enough. And I always make sure my affirmations like, you are going to be a mother, or you are rich, or you are a boss, or you are that girl, or you are, like, say who you are. So
not who you're going to be.
Exactly. Say who you are, not who you're going to be. So I don't really do a lot of affirmations. I do meditate, and I pray more than meditate. Mm-hmm. But just speaking life into me. Mm-hmm. And I don't do it all the time because I don't feel like I need it all the time. I only do it when I feel like I'm down or I feel bad. Just a little perk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you journal?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Sometimes. I don't write it. Sometimes I just do it in my phone to get it out. But yes. And I find that to be therapeutic, I guess.
It is. However you gotta get it out. And notes in your phone, write yourself an email.
Yes. A note,
a video diary. Sometimes I do video diaries. And honestly, sometimes posting on social media is my journal. Like, I don't get too personal, but just hyping myself up. Like,
definitely not transparent. I'm only transparent in the things that I feel like will help other women. Like, I wasn't always transparent about my fertility journey. I was always transparent about my hormonal issues that I have. But I feel like more people, deal with it. So I started being more transparent. But yeah, I think journaling, music is always my therapy. I like hiking and like walking. Those are my little therapies that I do.
Like nature. She trying to invite me to hikes.
Yeah. Those are my therapies.
No. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this thing out. Before we close this thing out, Chanel, I want you to let the people know how they can support When Queens Meet, where they can find you on social media, all that jazz.
So you can follow me at When Queens Meet LV on Instagram, That Girl Chanel on Instagram. Where else? I have a When Queens Meet LV Facebook. You can support by following the page, sharing the content. Being active, like answering the questions if I put questions on there or put it in comments. I never think about quantity, really just quality. I don't really care about numbers, but come along, say a little question I could put out there. So just follow me on When Queens Meet LV on Instagram.
Yes. Follow her, support her. We got some events coming up, Vegas.
Yes.
Collaborations. You've actually helped me with that quality versus quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is something that I am switching my mindset about. I'm like, I need to get 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel, by the way.
And share it.
Yes,
and like it.
Share, because that matters to creators and to entrepreneurs. Like that, it does matter, but it shouldn't be like up here. And so I'm getting back to quality, like community, building community, especially here in Vegas. We are in Vegas, by the way. But building community and like a solid community that is supportive. I support you, you support me. And I think that's something that we have. So Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For joining me. This It Girl herself, because as you all know, we are becoming our own It Girl, but Chanel is already her own It Girl.
Thank you.
Whether you are your own It Girl or you're becoming your own It Girl, you are welcome here at Marcus Catalog, because we're all about the conscious acts of self-love, because that is what's going to help you become your own It Girl. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sending you love and light, love and light, love and light. Remember to live, laugh, love yourselves. All right, y'all. Peace.